The Crimson Eclipse mod just dropped, and in this mod, we're introduced to Fleetway Sonic as the main antagonist. Now, from my understanding, this mod is based in the same universe as the original Sonic.exe mod, which means that eventually we'll probably be introduced to other characters from that world, like Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic.exe. But for now, let's talk about the backstory for Fleetway Sonic and how Boyfriend ended up in this situation. I personally feel like Fleetway Super Sonic is underrated and does not get nearly the amount of love that he deserves, and this is probably because many people don't even know who he is, and that's because if we're being honest, he's pretty old school. And when I say old school, I mean that he didn't make his first appearance until the Sonic the Comic issue 7 on August 7th, 1993. So he's older than most of you and maybe some of your parents, because some of my audience is pretty young. Now, jumping into the history of Super Sonic a little bit. So basically, he came to be when Sonic was exposed to a large amount of Chaos Emerald energy, and this basically created like an alternate version of Sonic within himself. But the thing is, Super Sonic can't actually be activated unless Sonic is under an extreme amount of stress or he gets very, very angry. Now, while Sonic is in his supersonic form, he turns into a complete beast, and I mean an absolute savage, being aggressive to both friends and enemies alike. There have been a few occasions where he's almost killed Knuckles, Tails, and even Amy. And what's even more scary about Super Sonic is that when he's in this form, he has full autonomy over his body and his choices. But when he turns back into regular Sonic, he doesn't remember anything that he did in a supersonic form. It is very much like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. And before we move on further, I just want to make sure there's no confusion in which version of Super Sonic we are talking about. A lot of people get this version of Sonic mixed up with the Super Sonic in the mainstream Sonic franchise, who is like this heroic, regal, very cheerful type of character. But that is not who we're talking about at all. Our version of Super Sonic is the complete opposite, being reckless and bloodthirsty. He has these crazy sharp teeth and these eyes that look like the Rinnegan. Eventually, this version of Super Sonic was separated from the original Sonic by Tails and the gang. They basically took the chaos energy from Sonic and sent it to a place called the Special Zone. But one thing that they didn't anticipate is that Super Sonic would be able to take on a form of its own and run wild. And Super Sonic's main goal was to go ahead and take out the original Sonic because his greatest fear was being merged back with that version of Sonic. But in one of the battles, Super Sonic loses his power and his memories due to getting caught in an explosion. And this actually makes him calm and docile, and in a way, he's kind of a sympathetic character somewhat. He even refuses to use his power once he starts to get his memory back, for fear of going back to his old chaotic ways. So while Super Sonic is kind of a messed up character, it seems that when he's separated from that type of emerald power, he's actually not necessarily a bad guy. It's just when he gets that power that he starts to lose his mind. Now, while Super Sonic is trying to live a better life, he meets a black cat called Ebony, who is a psychic that can also use her powers to help keep him calm and kind of docile. And the two of them are able to live a fairly good life together for years. But after some time, Super Sonic began to deteriorate because he had been away from that chaotic energy for so long and needed to recharge. But Sonic and of course his gang thought that that was a terrible idea because they felt like once Sonic got back to that chaos energy, he would start to lose his mind again. And sadly, they were actually correct. Once Super Sonic got back that power, he immediately started to go crazy. But with the help of Ebony, Sonic and the gang were able to seal him back into Sonic, and that's actually where the comic ends. Now, the sad part about this ending is that it leaves us on a real cliffhanger because we don't get to see if Sonic is able to hold Super Sonic in check or if he starts to run amok again once Sonic kind of loses control of his emotions or gets angry. Now, some of you may be wondering how Boyfriend ended up in this situation with Sonic, and funny enough, this mod actually has a cutscene that kind of shows that these two were friends before Sonic actually turned into Fleetway.
Moving around the city is a lot of work, and it ain't even the running that's tiring me out. But what's it gonna take to get even a decent chili dog around here?
I mean, we've been searching for the best one all around town, but I don't know. Maybe if you stopped eating so many of them all the time, your standards wouldn't be so high.
Oh, you really believe in all that baloney crap Tails was talking about? Dopamine receptors or whatever nerdy stuff he was saying?
You act like I would even understand any of it.
You know, you got a point there. Alright. Why don't we just chillax for a bit while I dangerously and recklessly sit on this fountain of chaos energy that if I fall into could turn me into my malevolent alter ego?
Oh yeah, sure. Sounds good to me. Sonic? Huh.
Something I really enjoyed about the cutscene is that it does actually kind of make sense. When you think about Sonic's personality and Boyfriend's personality, they're both kind of reckless and cavalier enough to where they would probably get along and where it's not really that surprising that the two of them are hanging out. And something else I'm happy that they showed in the cutscene is that Sonic actually falls into the fountain of chaos energy. And this is a throwback to that original Sonic.exe mod that actually shows him falling into the fountain.
Intruders.
Let's see how fast you can really go.
And for those of you wondering where Girlfriend is, I don't think Girlfriend actually shows up until Boyfriend is battling against Sonic.exe himself, because she's the person that actually keeps him from being like overtaken by Sonic.exe. I'm looking forward to see what else they do with this mod, because just the dialogue and how alive that the characters felt in this mod was really kind of refreshing for a FNF mod. I'll definitely cover the whole thing when the mod comes out fully. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here. Subscribe to JDogg, become a member of the Orseofkorse, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.